Sam, and this is the Little Greenhouse Creates. Thank you for joining me today. We are on our first stamp set for this week's first card for this stamp set of the week, Silly Safari. There are 16 images and sentiments within this stamp set, and as you can see, they are all of the wild animals. So let's bring in my printout that I've already done. There are 9 images and 7 sentiments. So the first ones we've got a tiger, a zebra, a monkey, giraffe, and a rhino. You've got 2 different leaves, and you've got 2 so this is like dashes, and then obviously you've got these triangles at the top. Then sentiment wise, we've got thank you big time, happy birthday you party animal, it's your day, go wild, super proud of you, welcome baby, woohoo, it's your birthday, and Kuna Matata. So they are the images within this stamp set. So this is the card we're going to create today. It's a pop through, so as you can see, the images are on the other side. So let's bring in our supplies. So the first thing I've got is a piece of lemon lime twist that measures 8 inches by 5 3/4. I've scored it at the 4-inch mark, and I'm going to burnish with my bone folder. I then have 2 pieces of Mossy Meadow. Okay, both of these measure 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. I then have 2 pieces of the basic white, and they both measure 3 1/2 by 5 1/4. I have a sentiment strip, which is 1/2 inch by 2 3/4, and then I have a piece of scrap. So let's start with the stamped images first. So I'm going to put that there. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to punch myself out even, 2 circles measuring 1 7/8. Let's see if I can get that over there. I'll have to punch another one out in 2 seconds. I didn't bring myself enough paper, but that's fine. I've got the sentiment, which is going to be happy birthday. I'm going to stamp that in the Mossy Meadow. Okay, so stamp that, ink that up, pop that down. So that's the happy birthday. There we go, that's that one. I am going to, excuse me, I have 2 characters today. So I've got the giraffe and I've got the rhino. I'm going to stamp out the giraffe. So you just ink him up as best you can. I'm using Early Espresso. And then I'm just, let's try up there a bit. There we go. Right. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp him onto the circle. You're going to do exactly the same with the giraffe, and then you're going to colour them both in, which I have already done. So the rhino and the giraffe. So the rhino is coloured in, I have used dark and light crumb cake. For the giraffe, I have used light pecan pie and light daffodil delight. So light daffodil delight and pecan pie for the giraffe, and light and dark crumb cake for the rhino. Okay, so let's pop those aside. And now we're going to take our first piece and we're going to stamp all over it with the images. So I have got Mossy Meadow. Put that over there. I've then got Old Olive. I have Granny Apple Green, and I have got Lemon Lime Twist. So as usual, I like to start with the bigger the stamp, the lighter the colour. The smaller the stamp, the darker the colour. So let's start with our lemon lime twist. So I'm going to ink it up, and I'm just going to stamp it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, hello. And 7. So that is the lemon lime twist. Then I'm coming in with the granny apple green. So I'm just filling it in. So really you're making up your own, I suppose, designer series paper, or you could call it a one sheet wonder. There we go. So that is my granny apple green. Then I'm going to bring in my splashes of old olive. And I'm just going to liberally stamp those around. Just going to move it around. Okay, it's quite quick. And then I'm going to bring in the triangles, and I'm doing that in the mossy meadow. Perfect. Again, just working my way around, filling in spaces, not worrying too much about the pattern of it. I'm just filling in as much spaces as I possibly can. So let's have a look. Is there anything else I can do? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7. So let's do one here, 8, and let's do one up there, 9. Okay, so for the time being, that is all of the stamping I need to do on that. So the next thing to do is to bring your 1 7" punch in, and you're going to punch yourself 2 holes. Work out roughly where you'd like them. So I'm going to do one there, and then I'm going to do one there. Okay, those are now spare, so don't need those. I'm then going to glue this down onto our first piece of mossy meadow. So I'm going to glue that flat with my multi-purpose. Go around the circles, the punched out holes. Okay. And then I'm going to stick that down, evenly spaced as possible. There we go. Then I'm going to bring in back in my 1 7/8, and I'm going to punch out the holes that are already here. Okay, so that's that one. That's one. Move that one onto there. Make sure I'm happy with it. 2. Okay, so then the next thing to do is to glue this 2 levels down onto our lemon lime twist. Okay, so again, we're going to use the multi-purpose. Make sure it goes around the edges. There we go. Turn it over. Perfect. Now we're going to do exactly the same with this. Again, we're going to use the punch. So line it up. Make sure you're happy with its position. Oh, I might need to stand for this bit. No, it worked before. Oh, it's not doing it today. Hang on a second, let's see. It's almost come through. It's just the way I've obviously punched it. Right, let's do that again. So there we are. And we're going to, there we go, punch. So if at first don't succeed, have another go. Okay, and we're going to do the same with this one. So up again. Hold the position. And punch. Oh. It obviously likes to be wriggled a second time. I did it the original cut. It didn't. As you can see, it's coming through. But for some reason, it's not just giving me that lump. So it's, in theory, it's only punching through one level of paper. So it shouldn't be an issue. See? It's not an issue. There we go. It's just me being cack-handed. Right, let's push that bit there. Right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to glue this piece onto the inside. Okay. Over. And pop that on the inside. Now, obviously, if you don't have punches, you could always use dies. Depends on how strong your arm movement is. I'm just going to, it's a little bit rough there. Right. Okay, so that's now down. And we're going to bring in our two creatures. So I've got my rhino that is there and my giraffe, which is there. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your circle and put glue all around it. While your card is closed, you're going to position your image into its rightful position, and then you'll lift up and just push it through. Okay, so there's that one. So he's down, so he'll come through there. Lovely. And then we'll do exactly the same with our giraffe. So again, we're going to run glue over the back, hold the card down, position our giraffe, hold our fingers, and then make sure I haven't moved that too much. There he is. So our giraffe is in place. Right, then I'm going to take my second sentiment I've got, which is woohoo, it's your birthday. In the mossy meadow, I'm going to stamp the words just in between the two characters. Ink that up. And push down. And there we are. Woohoo, it's your birthday. So that's fine. Now what we need to do is our last piece. We have got a piece of mossy meadow. This is the one that's 3 3/4 by 5 1/2. What I'm going to do, using my 1 7/8 punch, I'm going to create one, oh, excuse me, 2 holes. There we go. And then I'm going to create a circle or a rim around it. So I've used a slightly larger punch. This one is a 2 1/4. You can use whatever is available. And I'm literally trying to, whoops, got one there, turn it round make it as even as possible. And that one's there. Perfect. So what we simply need to do now is to bring in our glue. And I'm just going to put a ring of glue just gently around. And then just wriggle it around the hole. Should be perfect. Yep. There we go. That's one. Do exactly the same with the second one. Again, just dots of glue, nothing too much. You really don't want it to be oozing over. There we go. Put that in its position. Over. When you're happy, just give it a little bit of pressure. Then the last thing to do
I'm not
is...
quite sure how to help you with that.
Alexa, off. Apologies. My Alexa's just decided to go off. So anyway, it's been one of those videos. I have my happy birthday banner. I'm going to use my dimensionals. And I'm just going to pop them on the back of here. 2, 3. Right, it's been in. So let's just double check that that's where I wanted to go. So do I want it to go there? If I put it there, will the... No, that's fine. Or I could put it down to here. No, I think I am going to put it there. So let's take the backing off of these. There we go. And then these can now go in the centre, like so. Perfect. So there are our first pop through cards for this week's Sept set of the week, Silly Safari. So thank you ever so much for joining me this week. Hopefully we'll be back on Friday with a funky fold. So do join me then and we can see what else we can get up to. So take care, whatever you do for the rest of the week. Happy crafting. Bye.